Room spray has been sprayed. Perfume has been sprayed.
Water has been filled.
Water has been filled. Are we ready?
I covered my armpits.
We are ready. Welcome to the Grown Ass Business Show. And today I have coerced my friends to join me, and they don't even know what we're talking about.
No clue.
Yeah.
Nope.
But no warnings, no pre-questions, no nothing. But I thought, who better to have this conversation with and to kick off this show with, because I think you both will appreciate the nature and purpose of this show, which is to show entrepreneurs the various ways that you can build a successful business without following the trends or doing what you think you should be doing or what you think it should look like, because either someone told you to, or you paid someone to tell you to, or you're always in comparison mode watching what everybody else is doing on social media. So this show is actually all about highlighting other people's businesses and basically how'd you do that? How did you do that? And I think that when we really talk about these things, we go, oh, the way she got there was very different than what I'm doing right now or what I'm being told to do, right? So that's why we're here. Surprise.
Fabulous.
Thanks, guys.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right. So first up, one at a time. I guess, Annie, you're first if we're going. This is the ABC Club. This is our ABC Mini Mind Day, but I coerced them into doing this interview first. Annie, tell the people who you are and what you do and what is your business.
Hey, y'all. I'm Annie P. Ruggles. I'm the founder of the Non-Sleazy Sales Academy and QuirkWorks Consulting. Over on the Non-Sleazy Sales Academy side, I help people polish and own their own natural sales skills. Yes, you have them, especially if you don't think you have them. And over on QuirkWorks, I help people do exactly what we were just talking about, which is kick off all the dumb shoulds of marketing and all the dang swipe files and nonsense out there, and return to the why, return to the core, return to what makes you unique, and put that out into the world as your beacon. That's me.
Amazing. How many years have you been in business?
Hold on, I gotta check my business card. According to my business card, 2011, so 13 years.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm on like 2009. I'm like, that's not right. 2003. I'm like, no. So I actually put a timeline of my many, many business iterations on my most recent business card so that I could be like 2011 with confidence.
Amazing. Miss Bri Seeley.
Hello. So I am the entrepreneur coach. I work with the most ambitious women to defy reality by bringing their unrealistic goals to life. So we do that through closing the gap between their current reality and their biggest goals, dreams, and visions.
Amazing. So, how many years have you been in business? Do you know?
So I've been an entrepreneur since 2007, but as you both know, I had a fashion label for 8 years. And so I've been in this business since 2015. So I just hit 9 years.
Amazing. Okay. So you both are women who are running very successful, impactful businesses. And I would love to take us on a journey of how you got there, because I think it's important for us to all know what that journey looks like. But first things first, what trends are you seeing right now on social media, on the interwebs, hearing people talk about? What trends are you seeing right now that people are most gravitating to or seem to be focused on, or maybe even wrongfully obsessing about?
I mean, so I'm going to take this in a direction. I don't know if this is exactly what you're asking, but I'm going to talk about something we actually all talked about on my podcast. And that is kind of everyone's becoming a business strategist nowadays. And if someone has like done one thing successfully in their business, all of a sudden they turn that one thing that they've done in their business into a proven system or proven thing. They then market to other people when one-time success in your business is not proven and it's not replicatable. And you know what we talked about on my podcast as well is that it's actually it's doing a lot of harm to the industry, because all of these people are like, oh, well, so-and-so said I just have to post on Instagram every single day and I'll have a 7-figure business. It's like not exactly how it works. If you don't have revenue streams, you could be posting on Instagram every single day and you don't have anything to sell. So you don't have a 7-figure business. So I think there's just a lot of like those kind of like marketing hook type things that people are using as quote unquote strategists that are like drawing a lot of people in. People are spending a lot of money, they're getting burned. And then it's creating like a massive kind of like distrust for those of us that actually do legitimate real business strategy. I talked to someone a few weeks ago and they were like, well, what industry do you work in? And I started rattling off like 50 different industries. And they were things like hair salons and HR managers and promotional specialists, like things like that. And the woman looked at me and she goes, "Oh shit, you work with like real businesses." And I was like, "Yeah,
Yes.
because this whole like coaching coaches to coach coaches who coach coaches to coach coaches is like an MLM, which is it's like smoke and mirrors." And
It's called an MLM. Thank you for that.
I don't
I love it when I'm like, I didn't say it, she said it.
I do work with coaches and I help them build legitimate businesses.
Yeah.
Not this like, I'm going to teach you how to have a 6-figure launch. Like, I teach them how to actually build revenue streams, lead generation strategies, marketing, like sale, like the actual legitimate fundamentals and foundations of business. So, end rant. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
But then you
This
just
is
kicked
right
off
here.
my rant because she said
Oh,
the word.
take
I was
it.
like, how am I
Take
going to
it.
answer this? And then you said the L word. You said launch. In that, launches are awesome. Launches are cool. The trend I would love to see die is this lovely myth of the one launch, right? Because we all know people who have had a $12,000 launch and a $120,000 launch. But we also know a whole lot of people that have had a $12 launch or a negative $12 launch or a negative $1,200 launch or a negative $12,000 launch. And so it's
Wait,
like, look,
wait,
yeah,
pause,
what?
pause. Wait, we know people that have had the negative launch or the launch that failed because we are in an industry where we're friends with other coaches and colleagues. We know. Do the people know that a lot of people have failed launches though?
Oh, if they don't, I'll tell them about my own. Hold on. Knuckle crack. Very indelicate, right? Like, I still don't think we're talking about the necessity of entrepreneurial failure enough. And the fact that this is a full contact endurance sport that
Oh my
you are
God, I'm
going to
writing
be
that down.
engaged in for frickin' ever, right? And I've been talking about this since 2011, back when things like awesome books like Escape from Cubicle Nation by Pam Slim got totally bastardized by the cult of easy, being like, yes, I'm going to escape my cubicle. And it's like, did you read the book? Did you read the book? And then the 4-hour work week came along and people were like, yes, I'm only going to work 4 hours. And I'm like, did you read the book? That book is about peak productivity, and Tim Ferriss is going to have you do crazy stuff like sit in an ice bath. If you don't know that, you didn't read the book, you just read the title. And here we are 13 years later, still in this cult of easy, and its current flavor is this $1 bajillion launch. I have one of the most important people in my entire life who has been with me since the beginning, who has been with me longer than the beginning of my business, has been in her own business. And she has been the most tenacious, consistent, incredible thing. She's been in business for at least 15 years. She sent me a text message this week that said, Annie, I've never had success this fast before. She is shocked by her success 15 years in, and she is smart, savvy, and consistent. That's the real. Okay? All the people I know are still waiting for their next big, easier success because the successes that we have had have not been easy. Doesn't mean they haven't been worth it, right? But like this whole like, I'm going to launch my program and overnight I'm going to have one launch. Don't put that much pressure on yourself. Don't put all that pressure on your business to have one day. It's taken the rest of us 15 freaking years. Like, enough with the launches. Enough.
Yeah. And thank you. Thank you for that. You made me think of something that I haven't thought of in a really long time. So I'm a trained professional dancer. That's what my whole life's training is in, and my first degree is in. And I used to have in high school, my favorite ballet teacher said it takes 10 years to build a dancer's leg. If you're a dancer, you know what that means. And we all would be like, and then 10 years later, when I could like do anything asked of me. I was like, well, hot damn, she was right. It took 10 years to build a dancer's leg. And I teach that way to my clients all the time, because it's like, if you are going to go learn piano, if you were going to go learn ballet, if you were going to learn karate, there's a belt system in karate, guys, for a reason, with the little stickers, right? There's levels. If you were going to play soccer like Messi, because you know I got to say it, 'cause I'm Argentine, you would go run drills. If you were going to play basketball, you're going to run suicides. Do you ever run a suicide in a basketball game? No. Why do we run suicides? Because we learn to push our bodies beyond the limit of what's going to be needed when we're playing the game. And then I always find like entrepreneurs just jump into this thing and expect to be a 7-figure business owner. And I'm like, but the world around you, any other sport or skill or craft that you've taken on, you went to a teacher or an expert or a pro to train in the scales or the moves, right? You understood that there's like a belt system, and you honor that, and there's like this beauty in it, and you're like, yeah, I'm working towards my orange belt this year. But in business, we're like, oh my God, I'm not at 7 figures in year 2. I'm a failure.
So
it's like, what?
Last month, I think I had close to like 75 applications last month, and the majority of them were not yet making any money in their businesses. The majority of them. I'd say probably it was like between 70 and 80% of them were not making any money in their businesses. $0. Current revenue, $0. And then my next question is always, because I work with audacious people with unrealistic dreams, right? Like, what is your big goal? What is that big goal? Where do you want to be by the end of this year? And the amount of them that said like between 500,000 and $1 million plus was the majority of people that were currently making $0. And I'm like, okay, so the reality of going from $0 to even $500,000, much less above that, in 6 months is and I do not like to say this because I don't like to say that things are unrealistic, but I think what people don't understand is the amount of infrastructure required to have a business like that. And it's like, if you were to build a skyscraper, you only do the foundation like 2 feet into the ground. That skyscraper is not going to stand up. You go to New York City or any major metropolitan area, you look into the holes that they're building in the ground to put foundations and the pylons in, because those skyscrapers have got to withstand the weather, right? And so what I see with a lot of people are these, like, don't get me wrong, I am all for the big, audacious, unrealistic visions. I am all for them. And there is an actual reality that comes with what it truly takes to build something like that. And, you before you run as well, and you're going to release revenue streams that no one is going to purchase. And so like, I look at a lot of these people and I have so much compassion. And, to be quite honest, I'm literally sitting here like strategizing a new offering, because I'm like, I've got to help these people walk before they can run. Can I get them to 7 figures? Yeah, I fucking can. Like, I helped a woman go from $100,000 in debt to her first 7-figure year from 2018 to literally this year. Like, but it took her 6 years to get there, right? Like, I have been aiming at my 7-figure goal for 7 years. It takes infrastructure to get there. And I just had a huge epiphany this year, 3 months ago, about why I haven't yet hit 7 figures and what I'm shifting in my business to be working towards that.
Are you willing to share with us?
Yeah, I don't have the revenue streams. I just don't.
That's interesting, because that's what I texted you guys privately. So This is you guys are getting an inside peek into the ABC Club. This is my private mini mind.
We need buttons, ladies. We need to make buttons.
And no one will know what we're talking about, but us will.
We will know.
Super secret private club. But we text each other, and that was, so I sent you guys a reel by a business owner that I respect, and I think she's great, and I think she's created differentiation in her market, and mad hats off to her. But that's what she was kind of talking about, right? I was like, how is this person hitting 100K months? And then the reason I sent it to you guys was because I was like, the ABC Club needs to, on the back end, dissect what are the revenue streams that are getting to 100K months.
So I sat down.
Oh, you go first.
I'll wrap up quick. And then I was working with a sales coach, and we did a lot of great work together. I had my first, I hate to say this, Annie, I had my first 6-figure launch, although FYI, that's 9 years into my business, y'all.
Why would you hate to tell me that? Why would you hate to tell me that? Excuse me, you earned that. You just proved my point. Be
you
thrilled
proved
to tell
her
me
point.
that.
Yeah, you proved her point. It took you 9 years. You proved her point. It didn't happen in your first year or second year.
So also, as someone who loves you, I don't care if it disproves my point when you're successful. I need to always celebrate that with you. Now you may continue. Thank you.
Thank you. So was talking to her, and she was like, we need to keep working together. You have so much more work to do. And I was like, listen, I sat down and I did the math. And so just for anyone that doesn't know, 7-figure business is $84,000 a month. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make $84,000 a month, like I sat down with my revenue streams, which also, by the way, in year 8, I ended all of my revenue streams. So literally in November, 8 months ago, I launched one new revenue stream. That was it. And so in April, I was like doing the math, and I was like, if I want to meet my goals, $84,000 a month, I would have to launch my one revenue stream, which is a mastermind. It's a 6-month mastermind for $12,000. I would have to launch it every single month for a year, which for anyone that knows, it's a lot of fucking work. And I personally do not have the customer database or leads in order to sustain that, nor do I have the energy, nor do I want to. I'd be running 6 masterminds at a time, y'all. Uninterested.
Yeah,
uninterested.
exactly.
And so I have to sit down and do the math and be like, if the math is not mathing, like how much money am I making per month with my current masterminds being full? Mm-hmm. And then what's the gap there? And based on the gap, I gave myself the same homework I give my clients. What are 50 different revenue streams that I could launch? Now, I'm not going to go launch all of them, but what are 50 different revenue streams I could launch to fill in that gap? And now by the end of the year, I'm going to have 10 new revenue streams launched out into the world. And I'm doing it in a very smart, strategic way that's not going to require me to launch a bunch of things that may or may not get sales. And, so.
Yeah.
Annie,
and this is exactly why, like in my program, what I mean by know your numbers, it's very simple. Oh, I just need to look at the math and go, can I actually hit? If I came to you and was like, I have a 500K business dream or 1 or 1.2 or whatever, do the offers that you currently have and the revenue streams that you currently have get you there without maybe having to launch a mastermind every? That's what we mean when we're saying know your numbers, is what she just described, right? That's how you actually grow a business, is by knowing what it's going to take. Annie, I think you were like...
I just also want to talk about the beautiful elephant in the room, the elephant we love, which is profit, right? Because everybody throws these figures numbers around, and I love it. Good on ya. But until you're at the point where these two brilliants are, I don't want to hear the word figures come out your mouth, because you probably don't know numbers below that, right? But so I love the example Bri just gave of $86,000 a year or $86,000 a month, because I can look fondly back in my very recent memory of times when my business made $86,000 or less a year, and I still had more take-home pay than a whole bunch of my friends who were killing it on paper in their mid-6-fig bananas. Right?
That was the thought I had, Annie, when you were talking about the 6-figure launches, because that's the other piece that people don't like to talk about. You had a 6-figure launch, but how many ads did you run? Like my 6-figure launch, 0 ads, 0 upfront costs, 0.
Yes. Yes. I've watched people I've worked for spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in Facebook ads a year, which makes my soul die. But on top of that, then they claim these $500,000 launches. Yes, I too could have a $500,000 launch if I spent $552,000 on ads and were willing to eat a $50,000 debt. Hello, we got to look at your numbers as your real numbers. And it's okay if you're closer to $86,000 a year. That's still something. The average small business these days is making about $12K And that's up to their first 5 years. That's bonkers. It's
That's right.
okay. That's why you get support, right? Like, and if you're keeping every single dime of that 12K, good on ya. Because I know some millionaires who, when I invite them to do something, are like, oh, I can't invest in that right now. And good on them. They're being smart about their money, but they're not making a $500 investment because they don't have the liquid cash in their multi 6-fig business. Something doesn't add up. What doesn't add up is money in, money out. Right. And so, like, again, these shoulds, you got to look at what the realistic number looks like for you before you start trying to keep up with the Kardashians, because you don't even know what the heck is going on over there. And
I have a little candle there that says smells like profitability.
there you go, right? Smells like profitability in that.
I need one of those.
I'll send you one.
It's just, you know, the I'm going to be 500, back to what we were talking about before, the, like, I'm going to be, in 1 year, I'm going to be a $500,000 to $1 million business. I know a way to make that extremely realistic. I know a way that I can guarantee that happens, everybody. You want $1 million business in a year? Here's exactly what to do. Come up with something, call it the Uber of whatever industry you're in, and then sell your soul to a VC so that you can say you have $1 million acquisition.
Well,
And
then
you will own 0% of your company and 0% of your time, but you can say you had $1 million launch. And if that's what you want, go for it. But if that's not what you want, work slowly.
Let's talk about that as well, because this is another thing that chafes my behind. The valuation conversation. Oh, it's valued at. Tell me what WeWork was valued at when it declared bankruptcy. Like, talk to me about, like, the idea too of, like, the whole tech VC thing and the valuation. Like, I'm sorry, but that is smoke and mirrors as well.
Yes.
Like, let's talk about what Uber was valued at. What I just watched. Have you guys seen the Uber? I forget what it's called, but it's on Netflix. It's like it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's like a 6-part.
Oh no. Do we want to watch
Nope.
this? Do we need to watch it?
I mean, you had me at Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I know, right? Like the Third Rock from the Sun me, just like
I was gonna say my 1984 is showing, and like all iterations of Levitt delight me. So, like, yes.
I know, right? Let me look it up quick. I'll keep talking.
Well, on that subject, you guys know that I'm turning my methodology into a software because I just want. I was talking about this. I was thinking through this morning. You got to know one of my big pivotal points of everything I teach is that hopefully I'm showing you what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. I don't know about y'all, but in business coaching world, a lot of it's about popularity. Am I likable? Am I liked? Can I be the popular girl, right? And the truth is, y'all, if I was never the popular girl, if that's not a skill that I have, and by the way, it's a skill, if that was never my skill, why would I try to build a business on my personal brand and likability and grow my pure vibes? Because if you know me, you like me, and you know I'm a very real and authentic person. But some people don't like my realness and my directness. So why would I build a business on a weakness? Right? So that's why I'm building. My strength is building systems that fix problems. So I'm building the systems that I built into a software that everyone can use. But I've talked to people who are like, you have to go VC. You have to do VC funding. Now, I used to be a COO for several VC funded startups. So I've been there, done that, had that experience. There's even a Business Insider article of me talking about why that model doesn't work, which, when you like get interviewed for an article and you think, no one will read this. And then it comes out and all your friends are texting you like, we all secretly agree with you, but we can't agree with you publicly because we're either all VCs or support VCs or work with VCs. And I was like, oh, damn, I really put my foot in that one. The one Business Insider article of me is basically shitting on that whole industry. So yes, good job, Celi, winning the popularity contest. But I told this person, like, I'm not going to do it that way. And somebody I really respect, and he was like, you have to. And I was like, no, I really, really, really don't want to. And he said, but you have to. That's the way it's done. And I just love being told that's the whole point of this show, really, is I love when someone tells me it has to be done a certain way, because I'll be like, watch me do it differently.
So first off, the show is called Super Pumped. So if anyone wants to watch it on Netflix, of course it's fictionalized, right? But like, I thought it was a good show. I had someone when I was building my fashion label be like, you did it wrong. You were supposed to move to New York City and become an intern, and then you become an assistant designer or associate designer, assistant designer, and then you like move your way up, and then you find someone that wants to invest in your right? Like all these things. And at the same time, I was turning around and I had people that had been in the industry for 30 to 50 years being like, how did you get the cover of Apparel News? I've never gotten the cover of Apparel News. And I'm like, it's because I refuse to do things the way you're supposed to do things. In fact, I purposefully surround myself with business owners and mentors that are not in my industry because I don't want to be told how you're supposed to do it. I don't want to be given all of the same advice and tips and tricks and whatever
I got chills.
that every other single fucking coach is following. Like, if my path were supposed to look like other people's paths, I wouldn't be here doing this right now. I would have gotten married to my high school sweetheart in college and gotten a job at Target and still be living the Midwest life, wanting to die every day, right? Like, there's certain things that like I just know about myself. I'm here to be a disruptor. And that means that if I'm going to be a disruptor, I cannot follow the path that everyone else has followed. And I think that's why the three of us get along so well, is because even though we're all in the same industry, we're like, no. We're here to do it differently. And so I think it's so important to recognize that by putting yourself in a box, you're literally cutting yourself off from your magic and your zone of genius.
Amen to that. And also, we are all three in the same industry. And what I absolutely love about this ABC Club is that very rarely, this show is all about like, airing out the dirty laundry. Very rarely can I have friendships with women in the exact same industry as me and not feel competition and comparison and really feel absolute support for each other. Because I think that when you know you're a disruptor, and when you know that you're doing it differently and you're in your lane, that's also when you stop competing and stop comparing. You're only worried about the competition and comparison when you're part of your foot is in that person's lane. Like Bri and I do very, very similar things, but we do it so differently that it's like, I like applaud every time you have a win. I don't go like, oh no, what did I do wrong? Or why didn't I? Because when you have such a clear vision of who you are, what you're doing, what you're building, who you serve, when you're in your lane, there's just no competition. There's no comparison. And I love that the three of us like get that in this like unspoken way, but that's how I feel about it, putting it out there. Cause I talk to other people and I can immediately feel the like, I'm going to not share that information or not share my audience with you or whatever. I'm like, it's okay, cool.
Well, and the other thing I'll say too that I've seen in our industry a lot is like, if people want to partner with you, it becomes very transactional.
Yes.
It becomes very like, well, if I email my list for you, you're going to email your list for me. Or if I have you on my podcast, then you have to have me on your podcast. And like, it becomes very transactional. And I will be super honest, like I've just started cutting those people out of my life because I just don't have time and energy for it. Like I have had both of you on my podcast with absolutely no expectations of being on yours because I love you. I'm having both of you on my stage at my nonprofit conference with no expectation of like anything but y'all delivering the best of the best of the best so that I know my attendees are taken care of, right? Like there's no expectations of this being some sort of tit for tat. It's just like, I literally just love the two of you. You're both so incredibly knowledgeable and experts in your own rights that I would be a fool, absolute fool, to not bring the two of you in front of my people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask, staying on this theme of like what builds a successful business, because you both have successful business. We've kind of squashed a lot of market trends that we all agree on. What was a pivotal moment in your business? What was like a pivotal change, transformation, a moment, something that happened that kind of, that's the thing I changed, that's the thing I did? If there was one, or if it's like maybe it's like micro moments the way I think it is, but what was that for you?
When I realized that the pathway was within me. All of my biggest next steps in business have come through meditation. My first
This is why we're friends.
Yes. Also, yes, Celi and I are
No,
both big
you're
fans of
friends
Joe
because
Dispenza.
I introduced you.
Well,
Give me
That's
some
actually
credit.
true. Oh my
That's
God.
true.
Annie, that's true.
True. My first big launch, to bring it back to launches, was like a year into my business, and I did a $50,000 launch completely on accident. Completely on accident, because I took action on something that came to me through meditation. A year later, not even a year later, 6 months later, I was meditating, and it was like, "You're writing a book this year." And I was like, "Oh, am I? Okay." And then a little while after that, it was like I was meditating. It was like, "You're doing a TED Talk. Get ready for it." And I was like, "Oh, I guess that was on my list, but like, okay." And I gave my first TED Talk, right? Like, so many of the next steps that have come through in my business come through meditation, because it's less about me looking out there again to like see what other people are doing, and more about I need to align with my vision. And when I can be in the frequency of my biggest goals, my highest vision, then the information that I need that's aligned with that frequency is going to be available to me. And so my job every day is to get into the frequency of my vision so that the clearest next steps can come onto my path.
I
A
love
little
it.
woo, but also very true.
You're
Yeah.
so soothing. Mine is the exact opposite. Bri's like the angel that sits on your shoulder, and I'm like the demon that's like, because all of my stuff does not come from meditation. It comes from like chaos
Well, we need
and
both.
like
We
rock
need both.
bottom. You know what I mean? It's like I look back on all these
But
pivotal
I think
moments
that's
in my business, and
so
it's like,
relevant.
yeah,
That's relevant. Yeah. Yeah. Please tell us
you know
about
what I
those.
well, like and one of the things I'm talking about in our like ABC special Us Time later is like I am hoping for like one of these like divine inspiration woo moments that Brie gets so that I
I'll
don't
channel
have
it
to
for
keep
you.
going. Thank you, baby. So that I don't have to keep going into the bowels of hell. But like literally biggest changes in my business have always come on the back of some kind of little T trauma or even closer to like a high key capital T. Like there's been some stuff that's been right, but like the Non Sleazy Sales Academy happened because I worked for a woman that I saw abuse our clients in real time, and it was horrible. And it absolutely gutted me that someone that I was representing treated people in this way. And it gave me like an identity crisis because I was being told that that's the way the business had to be played. And I was like, if this is the way that the business is going to be played, I'm not playing this game. But then I looked around me and I'm like, everyone around me is not selling. And my own business was going broke. And I couldn't afford not to work for a woman like almost said her name out loud, but won't. Um, and that's where the Non Sleazy Sales Academy came from, right? But also that was compounded with the fact that I was in a JV that I really, really cared about, and someone that I had loved since 2011 raised her voice at me in front of the entire room. Talk about the popular kid. Screamed at me in front of everyone. And I was so tired because I was running the event that I burst into tears in front of my own event that I was co-hosting with other people. And the feedback forms came back in and it said, Annie is obnoxious. How unprofessional. Why is she even here? And so I hid for all of 2019. Oh, I went into complete hiding, shut down my socials, didn't do anything. Took only referral based business, which I normally do. So I'm lucky I can do that because my network is at that point. But I hid for all of 2019 because I was always terrified of the haters without, the YouTube haters, the whatever. And someone that I considered work fam to me attacked me at the worst possible time. And I handled it in the worst possible way, but also a very understandable way. And it drove me into hiding. But then I realized, I'm like, well, hold on. Over that course of hiding for that year, I got a lot of new skills because I wasn't focusing on outbound. So I used the time well. I'm grateful for that. But then also at the same point, I'm like, why am I so afraid of the haters without if I've just survived my literal worst nightmare, which is a Benedict Arnold, Judas Priest hater within? Like, if I can survive that, and I did, and come back stronger from that, and I did, why would I hide at all? And so what happened was when I came back out in the middle of the pandy, In 2020, I came out full me, and I don't know how to put the me back in the tube. Like, here she is, folks. You think I'm obnoxious before? Ho ho! Look at me now. Thank you, Megan. I will say your name out loud because you deserve to be called out. But you know what I mean? Like those are the situations where I'm like,
Yeah.
this is no longer sustainable. Hiding to this level is no longer sustainable. The trajectory I'm on is no longer sustainable. Over marketing and underselling is no longer sustainable. Right. And it's like, cool, got to make a change, got to make a change, got to make a change. So I welcome, and universe, please send me a Bri peaceful meditation vision. That sounds amazing. But normally for me, it's like, oh, everything's fucked. Better iterate.
I love it. I love it. And I think I can only imagine you are attracting people that love you in your fullness and being your full self. Because we're here for it. We love it. So I can only imagine.
Post pandemic. So like I fell in love with you immediately. You showed up to that call and I was like, you're cool. First thing. We hadn't even talked yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and I'm grateful for that because to your point before, Celi, like I was a traumatically unpopular grade school kid. Like ate my lunch in the bathroom in a stall grade school kid. So like there are parts of my current popularity that shock the ever loving daylights out of me. And then people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're so popular. Like, what did you do?" And I'm like, "I'm nice to people and I say what I mean and I apologize when I'm a flake because I'm neurodivergent and busy and I don't always do good things." That's what I do. I'm nice, I'm honest, and I apologize. I guess those are the secrets to business.
The secret sauce. There you
Who
go.
knew? It's
Yeah.
kindness and honesty and accountability to yourself.
I think that's amazing though. I actually think we're always looking at the highlight reels of business, and I'd love for you guys to share. I think about when you look back on your 9-year, 10-year, 20-year journey as an entrepreneur, there are probably some pivotal also. That was horrible. That was traumatic. That made me pivot, right? You probably have those stories that we don't think about or highlight enough. And I think about the entrepreneur who's earlier on in that timeline, looking forward and just wanting it to be easy, the cult of easy, and just wanting it to flow and just wanting it to get to 7 figures already, damn it. Right? But almost every successful entrepreneur I know can tell you horror stories of mistakes they've made. I could go on for hours on mine. I won't. Is there one thing that happened in your journey? I think, Annie, you just gave us a really good one. Is there one thing that's happened on your journey where you were like, oh yeah, that was a big blow to me and my business, and that happened and it's made me stronger and made me a better business owner?
I think the one thing that happened to me, and kind of similarly to what Annie was talking about, I had a second business from 2015 to 2017. And I got into business with someone that I kind of barely knew, but it just happened and it felt very easy and like things moved very quickly and like it just was great. And then out of the blue, about 18 months in, she called me up one day and she said, "Are you open to feedback?" And I was like, personal growth is my life. Like, I am here to be a better human. Yes, I'm open to feedback. She goes, "Well, you're a narcissist and you purposefully, everything you do and say, you purposefully do to make me look bad." And there's a few lessons in this, right? Like, I was on my way to lunch with a friend and I sat down and I was like, "Am I a narcissist?" And she goes, "Well, first off, the fact that you're asking that question, like the answer is no. A narcissist would never ask that question. So there's that."
Good point.
But it was a reflection to me and I tell people now, they're like, "Well, I'm thinking about getting into business partnership." I'm like, cool, go to marriage counseling. Like, you want to be in a business partnership with someone, go to marriage counseling before you sign on any dotted lines.
It's a marriage.
It is. You are legally contractually bound to another person. And what I learned about this person was that she didn't want to take personal responsibility for things that were hers and not mine. She wanted to project them onto me. I also learned through the process was that she hated money. She did not like the fact that I had very big goals. She wanted to diminish our yearly fees rather than raising them, even though each of us were only making $1,000 a month salary for a full-time business. And so then what happened on the fallout on the backside of that, because as much as I can sit here and say, like, I know that I'm not a narcissist, there has still been this little part of my brain for the last 7 years that has been going for a 7-figure business selfish, is going after this, is talking about making money in your business, slapping it in the face of your customers. Is it, and like, it has held me back so much that, like, I think that my journey could have been greatly accelerated if I wasn't hanging on to all of those nagging doubts and questions about my integrity that were projected upon me by someone who, you know, so much love to her. I really, truly don't have any animosity towards her. I truly believe that this was on my path for a reason. And I believe that I haven't yet hit 7 figures in my business for a reason. And like, but it really did a number on my psyche. And I wish that I had protected myself a little bit more to not have that experience. And if the experience had still happened, I wish that I had done a little bit more work. And I believe me, and I've done a lot of work to move through holding on to someone else's voice in my head so much for so long.
I think about this a lot because you probably get this too. You both probably get this. I work with a lot of people who come to me and say, I worked with this coach and I worked with this coach and I worked with this coach. And a lot of times they're programs or coaches that I know most of the time. And it's happened to me too, of the power of somebody telling you you're this, or you have to do this, or this is how it works, or this is how it happens. And even if when you're then coaching somebody and creating a new strategy for them, how much they're still holding on to this thing that this person, they might be more famous than me or more well-known or whatever. This person said this, and they're still holding on to, it must be that. Celi's, you know, it can't be that easy. It can't be that direct because this person who's like really famous and has this many followers really insists in this method or whatever. And I notice, like, I'm always asking myself, what beliefs and thoughts am I holding on to that people have said to me? Like the guy, I mean, the day that I received that you have to get VC funding to do what you want to do, I was distraught. I tell it now jokingly, but at the time I was distraught because here's this serial entrepreneur who's a multimillionaire and very successful and has written 5 books and he's very well known. And he's a lovely human, by the way. Here's this person that I respect telling me something that everything in my body was saying, no, 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 right? I had to go to my hotel room after that event and have a good old fashioned cry because I was like, oh no, I have to do this thing that I hate to grow the business I want to grow. Oh, this is horrible. And as I was on the bed crying about this bad news, I thought, wait a minute, this is against everything you teach, which is custom strategy, doing things that you can create, you can craft your path to the business and life that you want. And you never have to do what people tell you to do. But I had this moment and I was like crying and started laughing. I had this like cry, laugh moments. I was like, girl, snap out of it. This is literally the opposite of everything you stand for and coach. You can respect his opinion. I still like him and I still look up to him. I still think he's really smart and brilliant, and also go, thank you so much. I'm not going to do it that way. But I had to have my whole moment.
And same, like, I teach women to like unapologetically claim their big, 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 big visions, right? And yet I've had to go through the contrast of that, and still to small degrees go through the contrast of that in order to claim my own unapologetic big vision, right? Like, which is, I feel like we do get presented with these opportunities, and I will label it an opportunity because, I mean, we need to go through them and also to be able to help other people go through them as well, right? Like, so yes. I know that, you know, you follow Abraham at all, they talk about, you know, contrast is the best teacher. Like, we learn what we don't want or what doesn't work for us in order to often identify what we do want and what is going to work for us. So while it sucks, like, and I can say this, you know, 7 years later, like, so grateful so grateful I had that experience most days. You know, it sucks when you're in the middle of it. Like when your feet are actually in the mud, you're like, oh, this is terrible. I don't want mud on my feet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please bring up Taylor Swift.
Yes.
I mean, why not?
I was listening to the Tortured Poets Department this morning. Yes, please.
I mean, so couple things. Number
Ooh,
one,
I hope you're going to go where I think you're going to go.
Like, first of all, amazing book recommendation from a member of the work fam. A book called Selfish by Nikita Ren Thigpen. She is the flippin' best. I was bopping all around on camera looking for my copy of this book. I think it's on my bedside table because normally I have it. I cannot find it. Nikita, I love you. If you are also having this, am I a narcissist, big dreams thing? First of all, yes. If you're asking, are you a narcissist? You're not. Also, if you're asking if your big dreams are going to hurt other people, it means you care if they do. It's kind of like imposter syndrome. Jerks don't get that. If you get imposter syndrome, it means you care about how you're perceived. What? Oh my goodness, right? But Bri's like, hold on. Will me having this 7-figure dream, does that make me selfish? Y'all, Taylor frickin' Swift, ethical billionaire / goddess. Every time people give me shit for being a Swiftie, she goes and does something like this. And I'm like, she's a savvy businesswoman, y'all. Taylor Swift just bought out all the food banks in Liverpool for a year. She is feeding, and I looked it up. This will feed Taylor Swift alone in Liverpool alone. She does this all over the place, wherever she goes. This will provide the weight equivalent of feeding 1,200 people 3 meals a day for 3 weeks. And that's one truck of Taylor Swift. Okay. One. They have seen, and I'm looking for the article now because she's been doing this all over the place. They have said quantifiably during the Eras tour, Taylor Swift has done more to end or curb hunger in the UK than the English government has done in the last decade cumulatively. This is one woman backed by a shit ton of people. I'm not saying she's not an empire. She is. She's got a lot of people and she's got a lot of backing. But you know how, like, when she goes to LA, there's an earthquake because they create so much seismic activity? Or when she came to Chicago, every single hotel downtown sold out for the first time in forever. That is economic change, and that is economic growth that happens around her that can sway elections, and she knows that. And what does she do with all that power? She buys out food banks. So if you, like Bri, want your 7-fig, cool. Think of all the amazing people you can feed.
Totally.
Think of all the people you can feed.
That you bring this up, because when I say, like, I want to have a 7-figure business, we talked about this on my podcast too. I feel like it's so trendy to be like, oh, I just want a 7-figure business. I don't want a 7-figure business because I want, like, I don't care. When I have a 7-figure business, Jordan and I will still live in a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. Like, I drive by some of these big houses. We drove by one today and I was like, God, that must be a bitch to clean. And I know
that's always what I think.
But I'm like, why? When we think about the idea of wanting big things, oftentimes there's like a secondary reason behind it. And so some of the things, like for me, one, I now run a nonprofit. I have in my budget when I'm hitting my goal that I get to give % back to my nonprofit to be able to continue the furtherance of other underprivileged women being able to build their own financial futures, right? Like, I think that it's so important when we're talking about these things too, to take it also a step further, because like a huge motivating reason for me wanting a 7-figure business is just to show other women who don't think it's possible for them that they can do it as well. And I love that you bring this up, Annie, because I think that it's so important that we also ground our goals in more than just the money, but what that money is going to let us do in the world and the impact it's going to let us make. Because none of us are going to be going and opening offshore bank accounts and hoarding our money. Like, none of us are going to be funding, I'm not even going to talk about what we could be funding, but like things that are unethical and against moral standards for humanity. Like, none of us are going to be doing those things. And so the more that all of us can have big goals and go after big things like this, like literally it is us. Those of us that are on this screen and those of you that are listening that are going to make big fucking changes in the world because we care, and we're going to do better things when we have money. period.
That's right. That's right. We could talk all day. I think actually we're about to talk
We
all
are
day.
going to.
We're going to talk all
gonna
day.
talk all day.
You guys won't get to hear that part. We're going to privately mastermind and talk all day. Really quick for the people, what is your one takeaway or advice for an entrepreneur or small business who's focused on growing their business?
How do you eat an elephant?
I love that.
One bite at a time. For really ambitious individuals, what becomes really hard is that we're focused on the elephant. Yes, see the elephant, like Annie talked about, in the room. See it, know it's there. It is waiting for you. Focus on one bite. Because if you keep focusing on the elephant, you're going to be in the I'm not there yet. Focus on the one bite. What is one bite you can take today? What is one bite you can take tomorrow? You're going to look back after 7 years and you're going to be like, holy shit, I ate an entire fucking elephant. Look at where I am. Interesting.
Yeah, you're going to love this, but for all my clients who join Grown Ass Business CEO, which is my advanced program, they all get some kind of personalized gift, and there's always one elephant gift in that gift.
It's my favorite.
Miss
We need
Annie,
to get little chocolate elephants that we can just literally
that we could
eat.
actually bite.
Like,
oh, that would be
like Easter bunnies.
Can they be like the size of a room so that you can literally just take a bite a day?
I
That's
mean,
what
Talk
when you
about the
have,
big chocolate elephant in the room.
I was
when
going to
we-
say,
when-
when you have your seven figure,
Yes.
when you have your seven figure, then
We'll have a
yes, success
4-bedroom
becomes me. Can have a 4-bedroom house with a built-in chocolate renewable elephant. Yes,
One room,
fine.
one entire
Fine.
room will just be for the chocolate elephant. That'll be my like extra thing.
Someone may call you a narcissist, but we'll be so sugared up we just won't care. You know what? I want to go back to something you said, Celi, which is this idea of competition. And I'm super lucky. If you could see, whoop, 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 way over here, those are my parents. My mom is a motivational speaker, now retired. My dad run our office. And one of the most important things of the many things I learned from my mom was that your closest peers and your closest competitors could also be your closest allies and your best friends because they understand what the heck's going on. And also, if you're like us, there's only one of you. Right. And so if my mom got called and she was supposed to be in Topeka talking to the, Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation on July 13th, and somebody calls her and says, Cass, we need you in San Francisco to talk to whatever the Pipe Fitters Association on July 13th. She can't be there. This was before virtual meetings. There was no Zoom in the year 2000, right? Like she literally couldn't be there. So what could my mom do? My mom had to say, let me recommend on paper my biggest competitor. Because I know her, I love her, I trust her, and she will deliver the same kind of quality of care that I will trust. We are in the same industry, like you talked about. We work with very different clients, and sometimes we work with the same client. It doesn't really matter, though, because I very easily would be like, oh, you need a different business strategist? Here's a whole bunch of them that I recommend. Boom, boom, boom. And like I already bragged about, I introduced the two of you knowing you were incredibly similar because I knew that the two of you could handle it, right? Once you get to the point where your best competitors could become your best friends, then incredible stuff starts to open up. Then you can have your own ABC club and not have to live in that constant paranoia, right? But you can't do that until you're willing to say, who else is in my lane that's worth loving? And how can I show up in collaboration and communion with them? Because that's when stuff really changes.
Yeah.
Preach.
Absolutely. I am not going to say anything else because, sorry, folks, we have our own mini mind day ahead of us. Yes,
Can I
go for it.
say one thing? And I think this will actually usher us well into our mini mind day is that my heart is so full right now and I may actually start tearing up a little bit. I just really appreciate the two of you so much.
Oh,
and
no.
I'm so grateful to have women. I'm sorry. I was not expecting the cry when this came up. I just really appreciate the two of you so much. And it is, like Annie was saying, just so nice to have women like you in my corner that I can call because I'm the person people call.
I think we all agree, we all feel that way, right? Yeah.
You too. I was at the worst event in the world, and my very first thought was, I have to
You're
text you two and tell you that I am at the worst event in the world. Like it was my only life raft. That text thread with you two was my life raft.
Yeah. Having the two of you in my corner, and I know that like we're also at like the beginning of our relationships together, but it really truly has meant so much to me. And I just like, I can't wait to see where all of us are 10 years from now. And like, we're gonna do it together, which is the coolest fucking part.
So cool. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this journey. This was amazing. Thank you guys for being willing to just show up and not know what you were getting into and letting me throw some questions at you, because I really want the true story to come out of what it looks like to build a solid, sexy, sustainable business. And I knew I could count on you, and you have over delivered, as they do for their clients. So thank you so, so much. And now to our mini mind.
Thanks, ladies.